going to be selling a near 1,000 horsepower engine to one of the American companies. And guess what? Ford has had a very interesting and historied relationship with Magna. So we could see a high-end EV motor coming to Ford. No idea what it would be in, but it's nearly 1,000 horsepower. And this is wild. This is wild here. Magna said it's going to one of the big three. So the Detroit big three, you know who they are, Ford, General Motors, or Stellantis, apparently are getting this 800V EDS Duo. That's a pair of motors, inverters, and gearboxes generating a combined output of 726 kilowatts, or the equivalent of 974 horsepower, and 5,900 pound-feet of torque. Obviously, they will have some sort of control unit making that torque probably max out at whatever, maybe 1,000 pound-feet of torque. They will definitely cut that down, but that's what, unhampered, that's what the electric motor can produce, and it is built in the Ramos plant in Mexico. So that is really, really impressive stuff. So those are a lot of our exciting new information coming to Ford. Now let's cover the last topic of the night. If you've made it this far, please comment near finisher, because we're very close to finishing this episode. Let's talk about something that's near and dear to me, because talking about the future of Ford is very important to me. I wouldn't continue to cover Ford if I didn't believe in their vision, where they're going. And I know the internet talks a lot about how awful EVs are. I've had my electric truck now for a little over a year. I absolutely love certain aspects of it, and it hasn't been perfect. You can watch my videos about how the experience hasn't always been perfect. I've had a lot of love and a little bit of, there's one element that I absolutely am actually hating about it. And I hope March 1st, when I have my appointment, my third time they look at this, I hope they get my Blue Cruise sorted out. I'm the only one so far that I know that has had an issue with the Blue Cruise, but it's kind of a pretty serious issue with the Blue Cruise. So you can watch the video on that. But right now, let's talk about whether Ford is going to, are they one and done with electric vehicles, and is the market in general? You watch YouTube, and every YouTuber is just saying to people what they want to hear. They're telling people what they want to hear, that EVs are a one and done, that everyone's losing billions, and because of that, it is done. Guess what, folks? A lot of people on YouTube are just making videos to make money. They don't care about what they say. They're treating YouTube like an OnlyFans page. That, they don't care what crap they show you as long as you're buying. And guess what, folks? I don't consider our community here, I don't want to treat you like a bunch of OnlyFans watchers, so I'm okay with having a whole lot less fans, but covering the real deal. If that works for you, please help this small family business out. We got poodles to feed. We got poodles to dress. No matter what, Layla is going to get fed and dressed. We also have the daughter. We're a small business. Please, pray for us. And in the meantime, like and subscribe. When you get to the end of a video, if you do hit the next video, even if you don't watch it, you just let it run on your laptop, TV, or computer. You let it run to the end and you let a few episodes run. It will actually get YouTube to figure, hey, you're liking this enough for us to allow other people to see it, to peruse it, to see it pop up as a thumbnail and have a chance to click on it. Otherwise, the videos don't get suggested, don't show up on anyone's feed, and no one even has a chance of finding our community here. We're a good community. I'm loving the people in the community. Douglas Blair, I'm loving the comment you made is making me laugh. Douglas Blair says, Johnny loves his real fans. Yes, I love my real fans, but we're not, I'm definitely not treating this community like an OnlyFans, saying anything just to get clicks and likes. I want to cover the real deal, even if the real deal often isn't what people want to hear. People want to hear that dealers are completely, motor feed style. Dealers are, no, sorry, that's maybe the wrong name, but there's this, there's several different YouTubers that will cover things like dealers are completely screwed and now they're completely stuck with their inventory and they're getting exactly what they deserve. And everything is super, super negative. And I'm here to talk cars. Generally, we're going to buy cars, right? Do you just want to hear horrible negative stories about cars? Or do you want to, even if the general atmosphere, car buying atmosphere at times can be very positive or very negative, I want to cover how you can still get a deal, how you can save thousands, and where we're going. Now, M. Peugeot, $20, that's a ton of money, my friend. That's extremely generous. You're saying that for the foot and poodle pictures, yes. Feet websites, oddly, are very popular as well. So weird stuff is popular. I really appreciate the $20. That is very, very kind, folks. You don't have to do that, but it's very, very appreciated. Bill Forrest says, we would love to sit down and pick your brain for some time. And talk about some good ideas, buddy. So yeah, we can maybe do that if we can make it down to Florida this year. We've got some difficulties between the dogs and Layla being young and the whole skull being too flexible, too malleable. We hope we can make it down in the first week of April and sit down with people at a Ford garage. But here's the direction of Ford. Ford is going to continue to make electric vehicles. Ford is actually going to make a lot of electric vehicles. Many of those are going to be in the high 20 to roughly $45,000, $50,000 price range as starting points, because Ford wants to have a lot of vehicles that are starting roughly in the $30,000 range, because they need to sell a lot high volume electric vehicles to be able to continue to make money on the F-150s, the Super Duties. All the gas, petrol-powered vehicles can only continue to exist if Ford, gets a really high mile per gallon average. Companies very soon need to be above 50 miles per gallon, otherwise they pay billions of dollars in fines to the government, or billions of dollars to buy carbon credits from their competitor. That's crazy, folks. You can't just feed billions of dollars to your competitor and all your other competitors are being forced to feed billions of dollars to your competitor. So then Tesla's like, yeah, great, we're making so much money. If they make so much money from carbon credits, they could theoretically be giving away their vehicles just so that they can get billions of dollars from the other manufacturers, slowly killing off the other manufacturers and increasing their volumes over time. They'll never be free, those Teslas, but Tesla nonstop is dropping the price on their vehicles, whereas legacy automakers like Ford, GM, generally Volkswagen, generally people are losing money. So not people, but companies are generally, overall, more companies are losing money for every electric vehicle that they sell than making money. This is a wild time, folks, and so many people on the internet are saying, because people want to hear that electric vehicles are going to disappear, because we like our old sneakers. You like that old comfortable slipper or shoe. You've got your lucky basketball sneaker, your lucky golf shoe, pair of shoes. I've got my lucky business shoes that I wear to work. I've got 3 pairs. I like to always wear those pairs. I don't want to sell them for anything else. Well, we're like that with our gas-powered vehicles. And you know what? Gas-powered vehicles, we have a lot of reasons to love them because they've got sound, they've got character, they have a soul. Electric vehicles, they're so quiet, they kind of feel a little soulless. And they're costing companies billions of dollars. Now it's recently been released, I believe it's that Ford lost $4 billion this year, or $4.5 billion. I thought Ford would lose $4 to $5 billion because of EV vehicles. Not overall, but just on their EV vehicles. They lost $4 to $5 billion. In 2022, they had lost $3.5 billion. I knew they had sold more and that profitability hadn't gotten better. So that's why I figured that Ford would be roughly around $4.5 billion loss just for their electric vehicles. But Ford is saying that future EVs will be profitable 12 months after launch. They're also going to have their own platforms. There's going to be very little choice. So they're going to cut down your ability to have all sorts of options when you're ordering them. Think of the new, if you look at the order guide or go build a Lincoln Nautilus online 2024, you can see there's so many less choices than there were even 2-3 years ago. You're going to have less choice, kind of like ordering a Toyota, or picking out Toyotas, I should say. You're going to have less choice, but these vehicles are going to be technological marvels. They're going to be mind-blowingly beautiful inside and out. So this isn't all bad, folks. Even the inexpensive models are going to be very impressive aesthetically and performance-wise. They're going to be very impressive. Maybe not as impressive as, the Lightning with its near almost 800 pound-feet of torque. That is a sweetness. That is most excellent. But you will get designs not quite as futuristic as this, but you are going to get some very interesting designs. These are going to be beautiful vehicles. You're also going to get inexpensive vehicles and only a few big, think of the Lightning, think of an electric Aviator. You're only going to have a few really expensive electric models. The majority of the electric models are going to be inexpensive, very affordable. So Ford, congratulations, going against the agenda of, being all of us being forced to rent everything because, the prices of everything just becoming so unaffordable. Food, more and more unaffordable. Hey, a lot of people figure, wow, my property just almost doubled in value over the last few years. Fantastic. Well, yes and no, because it also means that your taxes end up increasing dramatically. It also means that when you go to sell your home, it's probably going to get bought up by a corporation because BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street have trillions, tens and tens and tens of trillions of dollars to buy up every piece of real estate they can get their hands on to then rent out. And as more real estate gets bought out by corporations, more and more people are renting. The future is concerning me, but I am happy that Ford is fighting all this by actually going to be offering us affordable roughly $30,000 price range starting points on several EV models, not just one EV model, but several. Because guess what? As people, we like to own vehicles that are a little, they'll look a little different than what the neighbor just bought. If the neighbor just bought a red Mustang Mach-E Select, you're thinking, well, if I get a red one, maybe I want it to be a little nicer and maybe it's going to be a premium model. Great deals on the premium model since they just went down. So folks, electric vehicles are not a one and done. You heard it here first, or roughly first. Electric vehicles are not a one and done. Many more models to come from Ford. All new platforms, meaning their style, their look, and their interface and how you interact with them are going to be mind-blowingly different. I'm an insider and I'm promising you this. The changes are going to be drastic. How you interact with the vehicles are going to be drastic changes. Their looks and aesthetics are going to be drastically different. So buckle up, folks. And no, petrol-powered vehicles aren't going away. While Ford is saying that Gen 2, so we're talking vehicles starting in about 2 to 3 years, electric vehicles in 2 to 3 years from now, Ford is saying they will be profitable 12 months after launch. Once they start selling them in dealers, 12 months later, they will be profitable. And this does not mean that Ford is getting rid of their gas-powered vehicles. They're doing this to help get that 50 mile per gallon target, to not pay billions of dollars to the government in fines for made up carbon stuff. Sorry, it's not made up. That'd be misinformation. Of course, everything that we're told, never question it. It's always true. Of course, we've never been lied to, unless you open a history book and you look at all the times we've been lied to. You look into the JFK story and what happened to him and why. Wild. People, let's all try to be as informed as possible. And I do like that, RFK is, I like what he's saying. He's waking people up to how the world works, how elites function. But good on Ford for not getting rid of the electric vehicles. They're going to have these EVs, so the mile per gallon, so the carbon, the whole carbon story, that they meet the criteria to not pay billions of dollars to Tesla, or even more in billions of dollars of fines to the government, so we can continue to have gas-powered vehicles. Gas-powered vehicles are here to stay. Now, of course, big V8s are going to have to be they're going to be expensive, more and more expensive, because they need to sell them in lower and lower volumes. High volume EV sales are really going to help, though, so that we can still have V8s in small numbers, and that we can still have 6 cylinders with twin turbos in relatively decent numbers. But do expect more and more sales to be getting pushed towards models such as the Ford F-150 Power Boost, and that's a 6-cylinder twin turbo with electric motor, because folks, as we move forward in the future, it's going to be unbelievably important for manufacturers to have a good fleet average when it comes to mile per gallon consumption. And Ford is going to have, they've talked about this even before, early, back in 2018, 2019, they're talking about the direction that profit margins on models would go down for dealerships, but that dealers would have less inventory, because part of the big Ford plan is that dealers make less profit. We all get our vehicles at, a better price. I won't get into that whole story, but, less than they'd have to charge. So dealers will have less profit margin, but there'll be less vehicles on the dealer lot, so dealers will pay less inventory. There'll be less options for how you order vehicles at Ford, because Ford has been number one for years and decades now for having the most amount of options that you can throw on, the most amount of variations within a model. They've been number one on the market for that, but that's going to get cut down. The available vehicles on a lot are going to get cut down, because the idea is to have types of vehicles with the different powertrains and the different trim levels on lots, but not in every single color, and that we will then order from the factory and get that vehicle within roughly 3 to 6, 7 weeks. So mark my words, folks, that's the future at Ford, coming from an insider. So buckle up, please subscribe, hit the bell notification, and thank you so much, folks, for watching the show. If you've made it this far, type finisher. Thank you so much for being part of our community. Sitting through my rants, you can completely disagree with me. Tell me why. Share, we all have a certain database in our minds, data that's in our minds that help us make our conclusions. And it's important that we discuss freely with one another, because someone with a different data set and thus a different opinion, well, they share their data set with me. I share my data set with them. And guess what? We both come out smarter, more knowledgeable, and capable of making better decisions. This is why, this whole notion of cancel people because they said something that is offensive is the worst thing ever. You don't cancel people for saying something offensive. The system should be going in the opposite direction. We need to have conversations with those people. We need to share our data with them so that they can learn. And you know what? Even people that are offensive, there's probably things you can learn from them, because maybe they're saying offensive things because of things they have been through, things they have seen. And that can be a cautionary tale for going in one extreme. It's through dialogue that we avoid going in extremes, and we can have compromise, and we can have a society that we're all comfortable living in. It's crazy. It's as if people have forgotten about the Constitution, that people have forgotten our forefathers and the principles that they shared, and that was learned from having lived under a system with kings, and that prior to that, being in Europe, it was based on generational knowledge from having been serfs, essentially slaves, with no middle class, where you just served your lord. Let's not forget history, and let's not allow people to change and thwart history to try to feed their agenda. When people lie about history and misuse history, like when they pretend that there were never any, for example, never any Christian slaves that existed, that's ridiculous and awful. There was a lot of Anglophone Christian slaves. There was actually slaves essentially Caucasian slaves of all sorts of languages and cultures. But there's millions and millions of slaves. I'm not going to get into this right now, but struck down, and all the work we've done together and our community will completely get deleted. But I do really appreciate you all, folks. David Wall, thank you for typing in finisher. Encourage others to do so as well. Ridgeview, yes, RFK is very interesting. Tucker Carlson is asking some important questions, and I'm very happy he came to Canada to give people a wake-up call. So Douglas Blair, 4 high, 4 low. Thank you so much. Randy Shank, thanks, man, for making it in. M. Peugeot, you made it through the whole episode. Thank you. I'm happy we kept your attention. I really appreciate the $20 donation. Unbelievably generous of you. Thank you so much. Now, Michael Powerosnik, thank you very much. I'm sorry I'll have to practice pronouncing that name because I do want to continue to learn and grow as an individual, and debate and freedom of speech helps us all learn and grow. Meetup, yes, I do. I am still hoping, and Michael, thanks so much for making it in the show. I do hope that we can meet up in Florida at Ford's Garage. I do have a dog sitter for the 1st of April, so that's worked out. We've just got to figure out, do we fly Layla? What's with the young baby, is it safer to fly with her, or is it, and then we want to wait until at least her milk, it doesn't need to be sterilized, because that's a lot of extra equipment. Hence April. Of course, we'd rather be not dealing with the adverse weather here in Canada and go to Florida right away and see you all. But we can't, because it'd be too complicated with having to sterilize her milk. Now, we'd love to drive down to Florida, but babies have very soft, malleable heads, and we can't have her in a car seat getting pressed in on for 20 some hours straight, even 12 hours, and stopping in North Carolina to meet up with our good friend Dwayne. We all know who Dwayne is. You know where his channel is, so please check him out. Subscribe to his channel. Good family over there. Good, very, very good people. Smart individual. I respect him greatly. So I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for making him to the show. Thank you for surviving my wild rants. Folks, we're a community, and I look forward to seeing you. The adverse weather it canceled the Daytona 500, but it didn't cancel this show. So thanks for making it in. We'll see you all hopefully next week. Minimum condition, I do a live every second Sunday, but I do try to do a live every Sunday. And when I don't, well, that's when I put the time into producing a show where I can premiere and chat with you all in the comments section. So do watch out Sunday afternoons to Sunday evening. There'll always either be a live, unless something drastic happens, there'll be a live or a show that we premiere. We still have 1 Maverick episode to do, and we've got about 3 Bronco episodes that we still need to edit. And when I say we, I mean me. Marie's all taking care of the baby. It's the job that she has chosen to do now, and I'm putting in extra work to help feed that family. Thank you so much, folks. Have a great week. God bless and good luck to